This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. I'm joined by a full cast of characters today. We got everyone in the building, even Andre behind the magical curtain there. Mm-hmm. The true Wizard of Oz.
That's so scary. He looks like a hostage.
He's got Toto with him too.
He really does. What a remarkable day for him to just...
You guys thought that the kitty corner was the worst place to be.
Everybody thought that I was Oz, the man pulling the puppet strings, but here it is.
Looks like he's in a bomb shelter or something.
Before we get into things today, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor of the week, True Classic T-shirts. Today's episode is brought to you by True Classic. Guys, let's talk about T-shirts. If you've ever tried to replace one of your favorite shirts, you know the whole experience is just bad. Most T-shirts are either too tight in the midsection or look way too big and boxy. It's time to go all in on the True Classic. By the way, I can relate to this. I'm somewhere between a medium and a large, so I lean on schmedium.
Yeah. Because
large is like, it makes me look wide, you know?
Right.
But schmedium makes me look like I wear baby Gap tees. So
I'm actually appreciating that you recognize that.
It's true. What do you do when you're in between sizes, Conrad? You get yourself a goddamn True Classic. That's what you do. That's what you do. This brand has the absolute best fitting T-shirts a man can buy. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. We want to hook you up with some True Classic. Our listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off with the Only Friends code at trueclassic.com. Don't fold on your wardrobe. Say hello to True Classic.
Conrad and I got ours on today.
That's right.
We do.
We're looking good, Conrad.
I mean, it's comfortable. I like it. I like the way it fits. Fits good.
Everyone's got to do
It's
this thing with their
seriously so
arms
soft.
when they show their shirts.
You gotta show the arms.
Lavanna's been doing a little P90X. I see that chesticle coming out a little.
Yeah,
you know?
a little bit here, you know.
Titties are coming in. Respect to the titties. Chesticles.
Yep.
You know, like testicles on your chest.
Nice.
And this T-shirt really hides my my barbecue gut.
That's right. That's right.
Brisket.
Big shout out to Lamanna who made us a brisket earlier today. That's why we're late. We were too busy feasting.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Matt Plumley gifting us 5 memberships to
Are
the
we going to introduce our guest? Or?
I am, but I have to get through these reads. So also what we have coming up today is a new course on solveforwhy.io. Finding Equilibrium, you may know him from the YouTubes. He put out a 4-part course today about game theory. We have a little preview of that right now.
The focus of these videos is to help players build the ability to identify and organize the various factors that impact optimal strategies. The macro-analysis, meso-analysis, and micro-analysis are essentially a systematic way to prioritize and organize the most important heuristics which drive EV maximizing strategies. This is the primary approach of GTO Check. In the next 2 videos, we will demonstrate how to actually apply this theory in real-life practical situations.
We do have a big show for you today. If you guys are interested in that course by Finding Equilibrium, head to solveforwhy.io. You can check it out there. In today's show, we're going to go through a little bit of the happenings from the last 24 hours. We're going to talk about Vertucci's Revenge Tour. We're going to have a reaction to the Ingram podcast. And most importantly, we're going to talk to the hottest content creator out there right now, Caitlin. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Comeskey. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very Chicago name. That's where I thought you were from.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Irish, just like Comeskey Park in Chicago. Perfect.
Okay, so I'm in the right. Unfortunate you got the wrong Chicago team though.
I don't.
Not that. Yeah, I mean not that.
What is
I
that?
like
The
either
Cubs
of them.
Stadium? I'm not even
No.
on board. I don't.
The Cubs is Wrigley. So yeah, let's kick things off with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory?
Absolutely. So thanks for having me, by the way, y'all. I'm a fan of the pod. I watch it almost every day. You're on live when I'm like driving around in my car or sitting at the poker table. So it's kind of a trip to be here. That's why my Texas is coming on so thick, because I'm nervous. But I was born in Dallas, Texas. I grew up there. I graduated high school and I went to NYU for drama school. I have my BFA in drama from NYU. And then I moved out to Los Angeles and was pursuing comedy. I was a student at the Groundlings. I made it pretty far in their program. I was invited to perform in a couple of stand-up festivals with my musical comedy. I used to play the ukulele in my act, so I got a lot of festival invites because, that I was the musical. I checked the musical box, so that, was fun. And then the ukulele also got me into a burlesque show hosting gigs. So I used to tour the country. I've been to almost every state in the continental.
Burlesque with the ukulele?
Yeah. So I would host a burlesque show and I would be the one opening the show. I would be the one transitioning the audience between every act. I would usually have an audience participation bit where I would bring an audience member on stage and we would either sometimes with the veterans, we would do an obstacle course that had a bunch of visual gags to make them look silly. One time I did a trivia quiz where if you got a question right, you got to pop a balloon on the bikini of one of the girlies. Yeah, and then I would do about 15 to 20 minutes of stand up and my musical comedy. So it was a great spot for me because when you're in Los Angeles doing stand up, you can only string together maybe 3 minutes here, maybe you get lucky, get a 7-minute set there. But when I went on the road hosting the burlesque show, I was able to do 45 to an hour and a half of material in an evening. So I was able to get my sea legs really quickly over the first year of touring, and those are some of the happiest years of my life.
You could bring Conrad in with his fiddle.
Oh, you play the fiddle, bro?
Yeah, I do. You ready?
Never seen him play the
fiddle?
fiddle?
Oh, you never seen him play the fiddle?
Shook.
Hold on 1 second.
What is that from?
A fiddle is a violin.
No. That is the fiddle.
You're playing the recorder.
I'm not. I am playing the fiddle.
This is the fiddle.
I've corrected him 6 times. He doesn't want to hear it.
It's literally a recorder that you're playing.
No, I am not. I'm playing the fiddle, and I don't want to hear y'all shit.
Hey, that's the Conrad fiddle.
When did this start, though? Was I not here when this started? He just started doing this one day.
He really just pulled it out of
He just
thin air
started
one
doing
day.
it.
Literally had no idea
I wasn't
what
sure
a
if it
fiddle
was
was.
referencing something. He just said, okay.
This is what separates Joey from us. Joey comes up with these bits where it's locked in, and he finds P. Diddy talking. Conrad just spouts off and says something that makes no fucking sense, and it becomes an ongoing thing forever.
It just confuses everybody.
Yes.
No, he's the only one with the catchphrase. What?
God, it's so good.
It is.
True or false, the burlesque show was the inspiration for Robbie?
Oh my gosh. Well, I would wear cutie little girly costumes, but I myself never had a striptease number, just to be clear. I would have if I had that, but I was too busy spinning every other type of plate. But I was a part of a couple of groups. One was a really noble cause. We were pinups on tour, and we would go to mostly VFWs, and they're still doing shows today. Also, check out their website, Pinups on Tour. But mostly VFWs, American Legions. It would support hospital videos. We'd raise money and have gifts to bring on our hospital visits, and we would perform sort of a tame down the more song and dancey numbers of the show in these hospital visits. So really rewarding time, my time with Pinups on Tour and in the burlesque show.
What's the tame up?
We wouldn't have the girls get down to their thongs and pasties when we were in a veterans hospital.
You have to be a veteran.
I have to. I feel that they were cheapened of the full experience.
I know that was mostly the hospital's decision.
They needed the most.
Did you see? I think it was in Vietnam, or
yes,
the strippers that were.
Yeah,
I laughed because I've seen so many guys in wheelchair get lap dances because we do these shows on the road, right? And we'd have this thing we'd call the T-shirt auction, which is basically me auctioning off a lap dance. If we're gonna call a spade, that's what was happening. So a lot of times, a daughter or son would literally buy their 90-year-old grandfather the T-shirt auction, and then my friends either Barbie or Harley had to literally get down to pasties and a thong and grind on this 90-year-old dude in a wheelchair.
Oh, God.
And it was just one of the weirdest things.
Really,
I love
that KL was in the chat right away. He was I was let's go. Yo, KL's awesome, bro.
Christian ZR Mamacita's in there too. She's not
Everybody's
she's
in
not
here
happy,
right now.
man. She's
I don't
not
care.
happy with this.
We'll figure it out.
They always figure it out.
Is that a real like girl that you've dated, or is that a troll? Like, have we said?
We have no idea.
He
We have
doesn't
no
know.
idea.
That's the best part.
It's the equivalent of Conrad's fiddle. We have no clue.
It's
what's
probably
going on.
whoever is the poker Karen. It's the same person.
Right.
Dear Mamacita and the
Actually,
poker
maybe,
Karen are one and the
maybe.
same.
That might be true.
That
I have
absolutely
theories,
could be.
y'all. You're not just here for laughs.
So, how did you decide to transition out of comedy? Because it seems like it's something you're very passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was definitely not a decision. I unfortunately had a crisis, a life crisis. I had a really traumatic breakup followed by a medical crisis. So it kind of knocked me off my path and brought me back to Texas so I could be back with my family and be supported. And when I was getting back on my feet, I was working in a hotel. And this was right around the time in 2018. Legal poker had been around for a few years now. The first legal poker club was circa 2015. So it'd been around for a little while. And I just I was so depressed at the time because of, my life event. And then as I was playing poker, I realized I was happier than I'd been in a long time. I had more friends than I had in a long time. And oops, I'm making more money than I am in my hotel job. So this was around the first time I think I met you when Software White came for Palms back then. I wasn't a full-time player yet. And then I think a couple months later, I took the leap and I decided that, things were just kind of getting stressful at my hotel job. And I had to work crazy hours. I was working the morning shift at the hotel from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then grinding poker after that. So I decided to take a shot on poker. That was the beginning of 2021.
Okay. How's that been going?
It's been a struggle. It's been a grind. I'm happy to say I'm still a profitable player, but I'm definitely not where I want to be. And I definitely want to continue to improve and hopefully make more money. I did get a tournament finish that I was pretty proud of early in the year. I finished second place in one of the monthly monsters at the lodge. It's a $600 buy-in.
It was for $60K, right?
Yeah, $60K. Yeah. Thanks, baby. You knew.
I do my research. I'm all over this.
I'm spoiled. Barbara Waltz is over here.
I'm glad you shifted into the voices. So, 2 questions. One is, do you think that comedy is still going to be something that you pursue moving forward? And then secondarily were I almost said intimidations. Were imitations.
Impressions.
Yeah, impressions. Was that a big part of your your comedy gig?
So I did stand up and I did musical comedy and I would do act outs, but no, I didn't really do character bits. I mostly did observational comedy and sort of off the wall alternative stuff in my musical comedy. I did a lot of characters at the Groundlings. So that's probably where that sort of background comes from. They're the sort of comedy house that's known for putting character first, and you build a character, you have the wig, you have the costume. Whereas UCB Upright Citizens Brigade, their whole thing is let's find the game, and it's a more intellectual thing. So yeah, it probably comes from my background at the Groundlings, and then my acting studio at NYU was Stella Adler. There's 7 different acting studios within the NYU Drama School, and I went to Stella Adler, which is known for imagination and technique and getting into it that way. So if you want the nerd out Stanislavski version.
No, I mean I think it's really good. Mainly because I think you're very good at playing these characters. The Conrad laugh. so good.
Well, I have to confess, Conrad's been my personal friend for a year now, so I can do his voice.
The live one is fucking amazing.
Was so good, yeah.
The live was hilarious, and it was it's funny because I think my 3 favorites were Conrad, Liv, and Melissa, and I think that they were all very low key. Mm-hmm. Right, because they weren't feature parts of any of these videos. Conrad's is obviously very in your face because it's just so spot on. But with Liv and Melissa, it's this subtle little getting the cadence.
I don't
correct.
think I talked that
No.
way.
not your voice. No, yours was funny because of what she said.
Yeah.
With Liv, it was the cadence of how it was laid out.
Adding in the evolutionary was
evolutionary.
It was so funny.
Yeah, I thought that was all hilarious. I thought the Christian impersonation was funny. You didn't even say anything. You just did the
Yeah. Just his mannerisms. He had his mannerisms down
He's
to a
making
T.
sure not to check himself out on the screen.
Nah, Chin's my buddy. I would never do him like that. He looks great. Check yourself out, baby. You look good.
He's yeah, I do.
Sorry, DR Marcia or DR Mamacita.
For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, first of all, go to Caitlin's YouTube page and check it out. But we have a quick rundown or a quick clip of it.
Got an 8-ball, a 6-pack Coors Light, and a deep dish pie. We're ready to go. We got a lot of people in the chat today gonna call in. We got a nice 12-hour stream. Hope you don't want to sleep. We got Robbie J. Lou on the line at the center of this controversy. What do you got to say, Robbie, about the new allegations?
I was on a lot of medication for ADHD. I was born with a golden spoon in my mouth, and money just really doesn't matter to me. I'm like, sorry, get pressed about it.
What?
I think what we have to be careful about when we examine these kinds of things, for all intents and purposes, is what the desired outcome will be for each and every scenario.
I've reviewed a lot of footage, and I've decided that the verdict is corn.
What you doing, Nikki?
I want you to know I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I got a history in law enforcement. The show is my life.
Have you considered the possibility that Robbie pooped her pants?
Yo, what is going on?
Hey guys, Doug Polk here.
Are destroying my life. Like,
how dare you? Mark Cuban's my friend.
Yo, wait. Talk to us about the costumes and like what exactly went into these costumes, like, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent about I went to Halloween Spirit probably 3 or 4 times over the 3. I'm so lucky this happened in October. Oh my God. I would have probably had to find a specialty costume shop. So thank the Lord Halloween Spirit is in business. And God bless all the miserable goth girls working there. God, they're hot. They try to ruin my day every time. I won't let them. So with some of the guys, I definitely, like with Berkey, I did the button-down shirt, and I did wear my tightest sports bra and get the duct tape out to flatten my chest for Berkey, because he works hard for that body, and I respect that.
That's right. I appreciate that.
You get yours, Matthew. Charlie Carroll, there was a lot of duct tape involved, so I could try to imitate a skinny flat man's chest.
Yo,
and, tape the button up and just God bless the tape, because had an inch or a millimeter one way or the other, a big old titty was popping out, but we got him down.
I was gonna button my shirt, but then I figured why.
He literally never said that too. That's my favorite part, is that some of them I'm literally saying what the person said, and then other times I'm just making up my own little silly story.
To be clear, I don't know what modicum means.
Modicum, baby. It's modicum.
See, I can't even pronounce it.
It's okay. Not all of us took Latin.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, Latin. I thought that was dead.
Well, not to the evangelical Christians that raised me and educated me. It's not. They still think it's very important.
Okay, that's completely fair. How many years of Latin did you take?
7.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Fluent in Latin.
Because we started in the 5th grade, and then when you got to high school, you had to do Spanish or French, but then you could also continue on with Latin if you were willing to have a 0-hour period class and get there at 7 a.m. And I wanted to go to the best of the best schools, so I got my butt up at 7.
So Latin was good for getting into school.
Low-key, she knows more words than you.
No,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's
she got into NYU
obvious.
by taking Latin.
No, I fucked the dean. I'm sorry. Are we allowed to curse? I'm so sorry. Sometimes they come to me, Matt. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're not nervous. You're not nervous at all anymore. You're good. The beginning of the podcast, she's like, I'm so nervous, and she's like, I fucked the dean.
Hey, carpe diem.
Low key though.
Yeah. See what I did there?
Very, very quietly underneath all of this humor, you're low key genius for sure. Honestly, if you look at the accolades on your resume,
NYU.
You don't take 7 years of multiple languages,
Right.
go to NYU, walk away with all these degrees, and just kind of float around and be like, I'm the funny girl. Just don't mind me.
But I am.
Don't blow up her spot, though.
Of course
Don't
you're
blow
funny.
up her spot.
Yeah, you're trying to get in games, bro. What's wrong?
What is wrong with you? I
Berkey
finally
over here
got my
like,
seat back.
you're a genius. No wonder you bet quarter pot.
I am here to put an end to people getting in any fucking games. If I can't play, y'all can't play.
Yeah, that's
it.
That's we know.
Berkey out here burning everything.
That's it. I'm burning all. It's me and Vertucci standing in front of fire like Elmo.
No. No.
I'd rather burn my eyes than see you guys standing naked in front of a fire like this or whatever.
Naked?
No, I'm down for that. Is that on the menu?
Isn't that what you guys are
I
doing?
don't know where Melissa's going. Well, I was just talking about the
I just thought
elbow
this
meme.
whole thing ended up with you guys fucking it. That's not how this goes.
I don't think that's in the cards for me, but he is a big bear, so who knows? Who knows?
Yo, stop, bro. This shit is crazy. Anyway, I also think you're very brilliant and smart. So let's get back to that.
If you insist.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the inspiration for doing the Robbie bit. Obviously, you've been locked in.
Mm-hmm.
That's abundantly clear. What made you decide to come out of comedy hiatus?
I had been making sort of like TikToks and sort of exploring that like side of it. And I started a vlog and I had a podcast, but it's not performing. It's more, being myself on a podcast and, sort of my own quirky humor on TikTok. That's like, most of them are 15 seconds long. I just had like the idea one day. I was like actually on a Zoom meeting in a poker coaching session, and I just kind of like had the idea for a couple of bits, and I wrote them down on the legal pad. And when the Zoom meeting ended, I just like literally got in the car and went to Halloween Spirit. Like, I think part of the reason why I can, do well in poker games sometimes and why I can do really badly in poker games sometimes is I have that quality of just like execute, just like don't hesitate. Like, why you believe in the idea, like you have money in your wallet to go to Halloween Spirit, just like get it done. So I think not hesitating and just having the idea and impulsively following through on it. And I was very surprised by how well it did. Absolutely.
I wish I had more of that.
Yeah, me too, to be honest. I'm a classic overthinker.
Mm-hmm. Be careful. There are landmines along the way.
Sure. That's okay. You create problems and then you solve them later. It's completely reasonable.
One step at a time, 1 foot forward, I always say.
Do you do all of your own editing as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the part to me that I find to be most interesting, because there's nothing inherent about like video editing and being, funny or creative, whatever. I find that to be hard, and I thought the edit, like, I don't know how much experience you have in it, but I thought it came together really well in a very subtle way. Like, the music choice was so good, like the whole like silent film type of background music where it's just Joey kind of navigating all of these personalities, which is truly what's happening. I mean, we really are living this like comedic thing playing out in front of us. Obviously I think your Joey impersonation was hilarious, and it's just an exaggeration of the truth the whole way through. So, I think you deserve a lot of props for the edit. How much time goes into something like that?
So the videos start to finish, including from like me, like I'll write the bit. Like the first one I wrote just right away. The other ones I sort of marinated over like 12 hours. And I honestly didn't even write a lot of stuff down. And I do a lot of the shaping in the edit itself. So I've been editing ever since in high school. I won my high school's film festival for my little like short video that I made. And actually, that's a hilarious story, because I went to this evangelical high school and I did this Virginia Woolf sort of like motif parody or whatever about a woman who needed sugar to bake a cake, and she went to all her zany neighbors. They thought there was too much sexual tension between two of the female characters, and they made me reshoot the ending. So that's just like a fun side note. But yeah, so when I graduated NYU, like you have an acting degree, you're like going on all these auditions, but you're a nobody and you're nothing. So they tell you to make your own work. That was just very much put into me in my last years at NYU when they were talking about like, how do you make this happen? How do you make this illogical dream happen? And it all revolved around make your own work. So even though I was like the prima donna, like Shakespeare dramatic actress in college, like I was the lead in all like the super dramatic, like cancer filled, like Scottish tragedy shows. I actually found comedy not until I graduated high school and started experimenting. So I made a bunch of different sketches over the years and helped my friends in the burlesque troupe make music videos. And we were all just sort of stumbling, figuring it out on our DSLRs the best we could. I actually raised some money and made a pilot when I was out in LA, like a 20-minute pilot that I wrote, and I fully casted the whole thing. Yeah, you did, yeah. And that got me into a couple of festivals, and it opened some doors. Hilariously, I was just really bad at booking meetings in LA. I was just too green.
That makes sense. I mean, it just seems like it seems a lot like poker in some regards, where you can have all the talent in the world, but some luck kind of has to fall in your favor.
100%.
So much variance involved. Have you met Marley?
I'm actually going to meet her for the first time later today.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited. We made plans. We're going to be besties, I hope.
I hope you guys do some content together.
Hopefully that's the plan. I don't want to speak too soon, but hopefully we can make that happen for y'all. Unite our forces.
Yeah, I would love to see just more in general come out of that space. Like I think Greg Goes All In is doing a great job.
Oh, 100%.
Marley said, we're dating.
We are. We are. There's a reason Spraggy goes back to England so often. I'm there.
Yeah. That's smart. That's actually pretty sharp. Have an overseas marriage and then a local girlfriend. It's 100%. Totally reasonable.
That's what we're planning.
You just started that?
What do you mean?
Well, you didn't know about that?
I don't do the double check, man. You know,
Chin's been
I'm not
doing
in
this
these
for
streets.
fucking years. This is why he goes to fucking
why do you think he's
DR
going to
every
DR?
year.
He's going to Jersey. He's going to DR. He's going. Where else is he going?
Christian Dior Mamacita, New Jersey Mamacita.
Yeah, where's New Jersey Mamacita? I want to see New Jersey Mamacita and DR Mamacita face off.
I want to see your
chat.
phone. That's what I want to see.
Go ahead.
I want to see your phone.
I promise you, it's horribly boring. I got spam messages for Joseph. That's it. I don't have anything exciting in here.
Jersey Joe's in her DMs.
No, not even. I don't have anyone.
I'm really disappointed in that. I'm going to get in her DMs later. I'm going to spice them up.
Wow.
I
got
you, girl.
It's turning into a throuple very quickly.
You know what? I got love for everybody, Berkey.
I appreciate
Improv,
that.
yes and. Yes and.
I like that. I do like that. That's certainly an attitude we could use more here. All right, let's get into the shits a little bit.
Yo, my phone just started going crazy.
Why y'all always got to get him in trouble? He tries so hard.
No, yeah, he tries himself to get in trouble.
No, I don't, man.
We get
I
him in
just
trouble.
run the bit a little bit. You need to learn. I've learned, okay?
Yeah.
She's taught
yes,
me.
and you go with the bit.
Chin has 7 families. Chin has 6 mamacitas.
Y'all crazy.
7 families, 6 mamacitas,
I'm a
5
nice
kids.
man. Stop. Anyway.
All right, let's get to the shits a little bit. We got some things to cover. First and foremost, let's talk a little bit about the Vertucci Revenge Tour as it stands. Conrad, I know you got a lot to say on this, just based off of the thumbnail where you are the.
Let him speak, since Vertucci had us stay silent while he was on the podcast.
Well, he was sitting on his hands, so we had to sit on ours.
I mean, I can't wait to see.
We just weren't allowed to talk. Got notified 1 minute before the podcast started.
So this podcast, it hasn't been released yet, but the rumor mill says that it's 2 hours long. Of what?
I can't wait I can't wait. My fucking problem here is you don't put me on a fucking thumbnail with a bong in my hands trying to discredit anything I say just because I smoke weed. So you can go fuck yourself, Nick Vertucci. As per the part where I said about anything about Feldman, I probably shouldn't have said that earlier in my tweet today. But
you woke up a little cranky.
It was 4:30 a.m. I looked at my phone and I saw a fucking thumbnail with me holding some fucking bong and you looking, I don't know what the fuck you are. I was annoyed.
Yeah.
I was extremely
this also
annoyed.
carries over from when he was on the podcast and kind of made an underhanded comment about you being a pothead.
Yeah. And it's just
like he instructs you not to be able to speak and then talks down to you and then continues it in a meme form on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not allowed to fire. That's so fucking pussy. You can't tell someone they can't talk and then talk down to them in a situation where you've instructed them to not talk.
It's fucking absurd. And I was just annoyed this morning. And yeah.
Right. So what you're really saying then is that you are the poker Karen.
I didn't want to tell anybody.
It's okay.
I was trying to keep it. I was trying to let Vertucci tell everybody.
No one's gonna believe it, man. It's that account is way too grammatically correct.
That's true.
It couldn't be any one of us.
They actually follow me and fucking correct my grammar all the time. Now, when it comes down to it, fuck you, Vertucci. Whatever the fuck your name is, Vertucci, whatever, fuck you. Put me on a thumbnail. Why? Discredit me because I smoke weed? Weed's legal in just about every state almost soon, And that's bullshit. So, Feldman, I'm actually going to apologize to you because I probably shouldn't have added your name into the bullshit. But it is what it is.
That all seems reasonable. I actually am not upset. I think this is a goddamn circus.
I don't mind the thumbnail.
No. I mean, your points are valid. I'm not trying to undermine you at all. You have every right to be upset. I got to speak my piece, so I'm not upset. I think this is some clown shit. Like, yeah. I think literally we're watching a tiny little car with 8 circus clowns get out of it every single time this man presses send on a tweet. Mm-hmm. It's getting to the point of being beyond embarrassing and ridiculously comical to me. The thumbnail of me being the Wizard of Oz with Andre and Conrad on it, it's just like Nick is so far out of the loop that he's implying that somehow I'm this omnipotent overseer of all things, and that these are my little minions.
Why wasn't I on there?
Well, because he thinks you're hot and he likes your ass, if I recall.
Oh.
And Chin wasn't on there because he thinks he's hot and likes his ass. Yeah. And Brian wasn't on there because he's a fellow paisan. Hey, I'm a quarter Italian, God damn it. See? She understands.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is that
Nick's a goddamn disgrace to the Italian American community.
Oh shit! Wow. Oh god, now you're gonna be on the thumbnail.
Now you get on the thumbnail.
Yeah, you're on there. See ya. It was nice knowing you.
This guy's Northern Italian. He doesn't even count. No, but like the thing I was gonna say is that it's funny that he doesn't even know what he's taking shots at. Like when he puts Andre up there as though he's some minion who can't speak for himself. It's like this guy was the CEO of Run It Up. He's the head EP of Triton. So he's produced shows that make our little internet stuff look like a goddamn joke.
Yeah, no, it's
right?
It's super fucking belittling.
It's silly because he always leans into this ignorance, like weaponizing ignorance. Like, you know, Christian's on there doing the pod and they're talking about stones. He's like, catch me up. Like, I have no idea. I mean, I've never even heard anything about this Postle character. It's like, bro, you run the biggest live stream in poker and you don't know anything about the biggest cheating scandal on a live stream. Like, do some due diligence. And if you're going to take shots at people, like, fine, you're free to, but at least know what you're dealing with here. You can't know nothing about production and then take the biggest shot in the world against the guy who's probably produced second most to a guy like Maury. You know what I mean? It's like Andre's seen every system. He's run every show. Like, this is such bad form. Mm-hmm. And it's all because someone's feelings got hurt whenever there was a little bit of questioning of the integrity. That's the other thing. I don't think he fully knows what the word integrity means. When I was questioning the integrity, I was questioning the integrity of the security, as in, is it all in place?
Yes,
is it wholly there? Right. Not like, are you a terrible human being? So it's like, you know, all this, I'm ranting at this point, but...
no.
Well, are you?
Not really.
You know what grinds my gears?
I don't know.
You know what else grinds my fucking gears?
My eyes started to glaze over. That's how I knew.
You know what else grinds my gears? Yesterday, I'm playing the WSOP event, first of all. I'm annoyed because I didn't win.
You almost won.
I did almost win. I got 5th. Unfortunate turn of events.
10K was too rich for your blood. Well, column B
got a shout
was the $500 fall finale, which drew 640 entries and produced the new World Series Bryson winner in Hung Trong.
Yeah, he'll collect almost $53,000 after outlasting the likes of the investigator, Matt Berkey, and the ant, Anthony Zeno, at that final table.
I didn't know if you said that on purpose or you just because you said it so smooth and naturally. Yeah. I was like, did he do that on purpose?
No, it just came from reading the chat.
Oh, you're reading now. That's good.
I mean, I'm learning. I told you.
So last night, Joey did another locked-in session. I think we're on day 167 at this point. And he brought on Jungleman, which God bless fucking Dan Cates. I don't know.
He was just trying to get in the mix. Can you blame him?
Well,
he's like, everyone's so worked up, I wanted to join in. I loved that.
All right, so like, there's a little bit of I don't know if it's a misunderstanding or backstory to this, but initially he was very open and opinionated about this case. Like he was right there with Durr with the conspiracy theories and tweeting and things of that nature. So when Beanz seemed to become a part of this story, I recalled that there was a text exchange between Beanz and I where Beanz was trying to facilitate a $200K Bitcoin transfer for Dan. And at the time, it was known widely amongst the high stakes community in Vegas that he owed Dan money. And now all of a sudden, all these favors are cropping up. So he was trying to get me to facilitate a crypto transfer. He was asking me if I could set up a game. I had another game that I was already set up. He was asking if he and Dan could play. So I was very leery of whatever was going on there, right? I didn't know if Jungleman had anything to do with it or if he was just having his name leveraged. But I knew that obviously Beanz was indebted to him. And I just ignored it all at the time. But now that Beanz was called into question, it seemed like relevant information, especially since Dan was very hard on being Robbie cheated. Like he was very hard on that side. So I just posted and said, I think we should hear from Jungleman about what the hell all this means. Here are the tweets, and it shows a relationship between Beanz and Jungle. And Jungle got rubbed the wrong way or very upset.
I think he got confused.
He seems too smart to be confused, but I agree. He seemed confused.
I think he is smart, but I don't think he I don't think he looked into it that detailed. I think he just sort of was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm in the mix now. And then I was like, I'm gonna call you out, Berkey, for including my name.
Right. He became Macho Dan. I get it.
Yeah. I just thought it was so funny.
You know what?
I think I understand his side a little bit.
Go on. Of course you do, but
shocking.
I think it's the way that the text was. You said, I think it's time that Jungle answers to X,
not
Y,
answers to. I said, I think it's time we hear from Jungle with regard to this.
Yeah, well, I think,
I guess I can see how that can be.
You see, he's just like, what do you mean it's time to hear from me? Like, I'm not involved
in
this.
let me finish the thought.
Yeah, you're sort of like, answer to this,
no,
Jungle.
Okay, let me finish the thought.
He got mad.
That makes sense.
Let me finish the thought to qualify it. I said, I think it's time we hear from Jungle with regard to these exchanges with Beanz. Beanz reached out to me trying to facilitate a $200,000 Bitcoin transfer and then attempted to set up a bunch of games with Jungle. I don't know what the con was, but there certainly was one.
Right, but you started wanting to hear from Jungle and then ending with I don't know what the con was.
Yeah.
So it feels as if it could be taken in a way where maybe Jungle's like, wait, I'm not a con, I'm not in this con, whatever. I'm just saying I could see how he feels that way. That's all.
I could see that actually.
Sure, you're being very generous.
I mean, no, it's not really though. Because I feel like if someone said that about any of us, it would be sort of like, who's this guy telling me to answer to him?
If you read the tweet, it's abundantly clear that.
All right.
I don't think it's abundantly clear.
You're right.
Okay, watch the fucking Ingram podcast.
Okay, you're right.
We all watched it. I'm just saying that. The way it's phrased, I could see why he thought it was a little bit out of line.
I don't agree with out of line.
I'm not out of line, but it could definitely be.
See how he thought it was targeted at him.
Yeah, it could be misinterpreted.
Slightly, yeah. Okay.
I'm actually on Christian and Melissa's side because I think it can be interpreted very easily that, Jungle thinks he's caught up in all of this, even though,
he was. That's the whole point.
No. But he's part of the Beanz team.
But that's the whole reason why I said that he should say something, because he was.
No, he's not.
Yes, he was for a whole month.
But you understand how it's like he's many degrees away from Hustler's
and it makes him seem more tied to it than he actually is.
And that's what he was
it's sort of an implication that's going on.
Hold on. But this is
hold on. This is why I'm right.
No, I think you have something, because I know exactly what you're about to say.
What is it?
Jungle was very heavy in the investigative side of things, and Beanz had a lot of heat on him. Jungle was trying to take a lot of that heat off, and there was a clear relationship through these text messages between Jungle and Beanz. How is that far removed?
All right, that's very reasonable.
No, I see your side as well, but I'm just saying I can also see how he thinks that is making him look more involved in the cheating scandal than he is.
I don't think your purpose was to allude that Jungle is involved in any of this.
It was the opposite.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to say.
But it was also to draw attention to all of the details, so that we aren't suddenly going down a rabbit hole where everybody's buying into a bunch of things that Jungle is publicly saying, only to find out later that Beanz is indebted to him for infinite, and it's important to him that Beanz isn't implicated.
Yeah, I mean, look, you both have good points. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I could see why he didn't.
It's incredible that I could dunk on somebody for 15 minutes and then come on my own podcast and hear about why I was wrong.
The issue is that it's not a right or wrong thing. We're just simply saying that we see his side as well and your side.
Sure.
Can't we see both?
Yeah, sure.
Why does it have to always be right or wrong? Can't it just be you guys have different sides and we see both?
I see both y'all sides. I'm saying you're right, of course, because you're trying to get to the bottom of this and you saw the connection. And he's right because it seemed as if he was like, "Bro, I'm not involved. Why are you throwing me in here? You could have just hit me up." That's all.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
Will you let this man take a victory lap for 5 friggin' seconds, y'all? You're being so mean. He dunked for 15 minutes. He said
he did dunk.
15 minutes? Y'all ain't gonna let him victory lap? Come on now, y'all. You're friends.
Oh my God.
The fuck out of him.
I haven't said a word. I'm just
saying that I can see why whatever he said, whatever. But your point, yes, it's very valid.
We both have points.
It's just so frustrating because I know that Christian's the only one in this room that watched the actual interview.
I watched it.
I was
this morning.
watching.
I had to watch it this morning. I was making brisket.
I wasn't talking about the interview. I was talking about the tweet.
I watched the entire thing, motherfucker.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
I watched that.
Why do you think I'm speaking out of my ass? I'm not.
Because the tone is so wildly different than what was being conveyed by pretty much like Joey and the entire population yesterday.
I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious. But I'm just saying I think he didn't look into it very deeply enough, but I can see where he's coming from. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that.
Sure. I mean, that's fine.
If we're talking about the podcast, I'm sorry, I was talking about the tweet. If we're talking about the podcast, it looked like fucking Zion Williamson, the fucking slam
Well, the
dunk
podcast
contest.
was about the tweet.
Yeah, but I was just talking about the wording in the tweet. Like, if
we're saying why he got upset, not like the podcast. But I'm saying the wording of the tweet is reasonable. Why he would be like, "Yo, like, what's up?"
All right, never mind. You know what? Berkey's right.
I don't want to do this. I just think it's crazy.
I don't want to do this.
I just think it's crazy to dissect a tweet when like I'm rephrasing it from like memory, and no one has read it.
I read the tweet.
I read the tweet as well.
We all read the tweet. It was on. It was everywhere.
Why is it assumed that we don't read or watch anything?
I'm saying you said it's
I got a
time,
bone to pick
like
with
whatever.
that.
I'm paraphrasing too. Like it's time that Jungle responds to this or addresses this, whatever kind of thing. And it's like when you say it like that, he's more like, "Whoa, what you mean? I need to address this type of thing. Like, why am I in the mix here?" And then you end it by saying,
"Okay,
oh, there's a con." So like,
let me make this abundantly clear. If things were reversed, and you were friends with Beanz, and shout
out to Beanz,
and he was using your name to try to facilitate a $250,000 transfer, and using your name to try to start games for the better part of 2 months, and then was puffing his chest saying that he was the one who got Robbie in the game, and that there was a clear relationship between the two of them. You wouldn't want to distance yourself from that? And you wouldn't think it was fair game if the people looking into this said, "Hey, Christian, why is your name getting thrown around with Beanz so much?"
This is the thing. Like, Jungle doesn't view Beanz as a bad dude. So, like,
that wasn't what I just asked you.
I understand, but he's not trying to throw him under the bus either. He's not really trying to, like, super distance himself from him. He's just like, nah, like, yeah, he borrowed some money and he paid it back, and that's all I got. Like, that's what he said. So it's like, he doesn't view Beanz as a bad dude, so he's not trying to distance himself.
Man, you answer questions like Vertucci. That wasn't what I asked you at all.
How am I answering questions? Whoa, relax.
That wasn't what I asked you.
No, that's not funny. Time out. Yo, he said to you, I don't like that you brought me on like that, or that you came at me like that, and I'm not trying to distance myself from him because he never did me dirty. And that's all he had. So, like,
that's not all he had, bro. They were organizing games around the two of them. They were running around town for like the better part of 2 months trying to get high stakes action.
That's the thing.
Okay, you have to do due diligence if you're going to align yourself with someone like that. You think that I'm just going to go find some shady character who has like a checkered past and have him just start setting me up for spots?
That's the thing. They were
like,
trying
what
to
are we
set up
talking
games.
about?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. He never did him dirty, so he's not trying to like.
He did. He slow paid him $8K. That's why the whole thing was facilitated.
I understand the slow pay is a little bit gray, but like that's not viewed as like super dirty. Like,
you wouldn't want to look into the guy a little further?
Hey, I'm not like saying like Jungle did everything right either. I'm just saying that the whole tweet it came about because of all this. I'm not saying you're right or he's wrong. I'm just kind of
I'm
just
not
saying
trying to make this
I
a right or wrong
understand
thing.
him. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
I understand you, Berkey, too. You know what? If I was on their podcast, I would be like, yo, Berkey had us a point. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just want everyone to see both sides, and then they could decide for themselves.
Yeah, I get it. You're Switzerland. It's, nothing's better than having an opinion podcast and then having no opinion. It goes so far to carry the show.
No, it's not that.
His opinion is that he sees both sides in this instance, though.
Look, it's important that everybody sees both sides. That's all. Like, and then, you know, we could have our own opinions and stuff, but I'm trying to like, your opinion is going to be loud and clear always. So I have to at least speak for, you know, the other people that might not, you know, agree with you. That's all. And sometimes it sucks because like we're right next to each other.
That's not
proximity is
not
a bitch.
You know what, Bert? You're fucking right. Let's fucking
you're
go.
right.
Let's go. I'm down. I'm down for whatever.
I think the biggest thing is that I can see how initially Jungle came to the conclusion, like right off the bat, because he probably, you know, when you read tweets, you skim it. But at the end of the day, when like you read your tweet and you like you're pretty precise with your tweets. So it's almost like emotion versus rationality. And Jungle's just a very emotional person when it comes to communicating with other human beings. Weirdly.
Jungle is?
Well, like how he...
No, he's not. I don't think he is anyway.
I don't know. He always comes off to me as...
I think he's very like...
controversial.
Yeah. Well, I think he dabbles in the gray a lot. I think he's... if you're saying like his Twitter persona,
yeah,
I mean, I think he's like engagement farming a lot, and I think that's what this was. Like, I don't even know that he believes his side that strongly, based off of the attempt of an argument that he put up yesterday. I think like he legitimately just thought it was fun.
He put up an argument and started laughing afterward.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like he basically conceded every point, and it was just like I just kind of wanted to yell about something.
But he forgave you.
He did forgive me.
As long as he forgave you, everything's okay, man.
I forgive him.
I'm calling you a vigilante because you're coming after me, and I'm like, well,
I didn't
okay,
even come after you, Jungle. I did not come after you.
All right, well, I forgive you.
Reread the thread.
I don't really care that much.
You forgive me? Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You forgive me for what?
For like getting my name involved and like getting me, you know.
On the entire matter, I suppose. It was long. It was late, and it was. I don't want to say like scripted. That's not fair. But I think it was mostly it stuck to the script of the Reddit thread. You know, the majority of the things that he talked about were like the accusations that were put up in that recent Reddit thread, which I'm sure everybody's seen at this point. Most of it was talking about his days at Live at the Bike, some scrutiny around his relationship with Ludacris and their living together, him playing on stream, things of that nature. I thought he came off pretty well with all that stuff. Obviously, this stuff comes down to he said, she said. You know, it's like you have an anonymous person posting on Reddit regarding like sensitive information that we don't know the true truth to. So I think based off just like sourcing, Ryan's words are going to be a lot more credible than anything that we read in a thread. We know Ryan. We trust Ryan to run a very high-end stream with a lot of money. So when he basically shoots down point by point this Reddit thread, I don't think we as the public have any choice but to believe that, right? So unless there's other information out there that people are willing to kind of go through that interview and say like, well, that's incorrect, that's incorrect. The only thing I heard him say, and I may have misheard or it may have been referencing something else, but I thought he said he wasn't at Live at the Bike during the Stones thing, which definitely is not true. He was there till 2021, I think. Or 2022 now, right? Yeah. So yeah, Hustler's been around for a year.
Yeah.
So Apostle happened late 19. He didn't leave the bike until early 21, I think. Maybe late 2020, something like that. But I could have just easily misheard that. It could have been him distancing himself from Ludacris around that time instead of the bike itself. I'm not sure. Everything else seemed like it fit in line with stuff that I've heard either through the grapevine or him stating publicly. It definitely seems like they don't have a good relationship there. I would love to hear more from JJ and Dan Zach as former owners who were partners with Ryan at the time. Maybe more so Dan than JJ, just because JJ still has a vested interest in Live at the Bike. And not that discredits him, but it changes his incentives, changes his motives a little bit. But it would be nice if Dan could corroborate Ryan's story from yesterday or poke holes in things that may not align. But all in all, I thought he came off pretty well.
Yeah. Did you see anything from JJ yesterday? Or
he just tweeted that he's been silent because he has a family and didn't want to get involved, and then kind of implied that Vertucci was bringing him out of silence.
Okay.
So it looks like he said, I've been quiet. Is that what that says?
I got it. I've been quiet in real life and social media.
That says quite though, right?
Yeah.
It does.
Okay. I just want to make sure my eyes weren't
Quite
deceiving me.
in real life.
I've been quiet in real life and social media regarding the Ryan Feldman hustler because I have a family. Dealing with Ryan was one of the biggest headaches in my life. I think it's time for some truths to be heard. At Dan Zach, shouldn't have brought my name into the mix again.
Yeah, so that was all before Ryan's interview. So I think that was specifically referring to Vertucci.
Oh.
Yeah, that was hours before the interview.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, unless he tweeted it today.
I thought
the interview was like 2 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm relatively certain, unless that tweet came out this morning.
I thought it was like coinciding with the interview. Maybe I'm wrong.
It looks like the tweet was from 12. I think it was from like 13 hours ago, so it would be before.
Yeah, it looks like
it
it's
might have been
around
like
the time it started.
Right around. Yeah,
I thought it coincided. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that means Christian's probably right here that it coincides with Ryan then. I do think Dan Zach would probably be the most credible source. First of all, I can't think of anyone in this industry with higher integrity than Dan. I would trust him with my entire net worth without anything more than a handshake. And I think that speaks volumes in this particular industry. It would be nice to hear from that side, but I don't know. I don't know where we're at now. Ryan said a lot yesterday, but it kind of parroted a lot of what Nick said, where, he agrees that there's security flaws and he agrees that they're trying to fix them. But he dug his heels in that they're not going to do the peakless or the no peak version. He's just trying to reduce the staff so that he's the only one who sees the cards. And that's fine, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I still take some issue with it, obviously, because in my opinion, we still have trust issues with Hustler as a whole, especially when this investigation comes back and shows nothing. We never got to the bottom of the Brian thing. There didn't seem to be any follow-up whatsoever. I still, call me crazy, but there seems to be a great link there between an inside man who has real-time information taking money off of the stack of the person accused cheating. It seems like that's the investigation, No,
the investigation is coming to an end. We found out who the poker Karen is.
And thank God.
And thank God,
Who, though? Who is it?
We don't know who the poker Karen is yet, but
it's going to be revealed.
It will be revealed, and the investigation will be over after that.
Who do you guys think it is?
There were rumors it was Brandon Shack-Harris.
I think it's Guapo.
Guapo.
Wait, which Guapo?
Wait.
The Guapo.
El Guapo?
Your Guapo.
The original Guapo, not the Andre Guapo.
No.
Oh, I got it.
Are you that little Guapo fellow?
I'm the little Guapo fellow.
The little Guapo. It's so fucking demeaning, dude.
Mm-hmm. How about you fight the little Guapo fella, huh?
Yeah, that little Guapo fella's technically a weapon.
That's a fucking nuclear bomb right there.
He likes choking bitches out.
What? Okay.
Oh, you don't know about this?
He's
That's what he does.
No, but I wanna.
He's a jujitsu master.
Bro, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Oh, man.
How much larger of a man do you think you could disembody?
Disembody?
Yeah.
Like take his body parts off?
Well, that's he's a weapon, right?
Yeah. I won absolute division for blue belt in jiu-jitsu in like May, and I was facing ultra heavyweights, which is like 240 plus, I think.
Okay. So twice your body weight.
We're gonna be just fine.
I killed.
That was a slow burn. That was a slow burn. We were just like, okay, all right, I see. The choking thing, right?
Yeah, I can kill a lot of people.
Okay. Can you tear their arms off though?
Huh?
Can you tear their arms off?
Probably.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, beat them. Yes,
Probably.
exactly.
Yeah.
Beat them with their own
Probably.
arms.
Yeah. I mean, one of the guys, I literally, it's called a helicopter armbar.
And then what do you take his arm and swing it around?
Yeah.
Do you actually?
Yeah. No. It's the helicopter is his body actually. So you like airplane
you swing his
him.
body around?
You know how like you airplane little kids?
Yeah.
It's hilarious because it's like a 150-pound kid airplaning this 260-pound like fat man.
Wow.
Into the ground as I grab his arm and then armbar him.
Okay,
You better,
I can picture that.
Better stop. Caitlin's. She's
Oh my god! My word.
Yo, this is crazy. Like what? Y'all talk about me. This shit is crazy.
Oh man.
What were you guys' final takeaways from Feldman? Finally, not being silent, I guess.
I feel like he came off really well, and I was very surprised at the part where he said like, "Oh, Nick's better at doing all the public stuff." So I was very surprised.
You must not have logged into Twitter the last 2 weeks.
I mean, it just, to me, like, Feldman represented a company like 100 million. I trust what he was saying like 100 times more. So I don't know. I felt like he came off like so much better. I was really surprised that he thought that Nick was the better of the two at public stuff.
I didn't like how he tried to downplay the information you got from the other stream houses.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't. It was like he was like grasping at straws.
Yeah, I think his implication of like, I've never seen the back room of Live at the Bike or Poker go.
Right.
So how can I know that they're secure?
Yeah,
Well, it's
right,
like, because if they're lying, then the risk that they're taking is massive for what?
Right.
Just to run cards up.
Yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, to me, when he makes that implication, he's implying that he knows better.
Right.
And, maybe
so
he does or thinks
I
he
guess
does.
to clarify, like, you talk to them and then they sent, what did they send you something?
Bally's and the bike sent me like an unofficial statement.
Okay.
Of every security protocol that they have in place.
Okay.
Poker Go did the same, right? Like, so these aren't official things that they put out in press releases, but like they were on the record as like, these are our, this is how we button up everything, right? So,
and did Hustler send you anything like that? Just so you'd have a even like comparison field or?
No, but to be fair, the way that the conversation went with Hustler was I called Nick and I said, hey, I know of about 10 things that have you at very high risk security-wise. Can you confirm or deny them? And I went through the list, and he just confirmed them all. So I didn't really pose the question. The conversation went backwards, right? It started with me talking to Nick, saying like, how bad is this? And getting confirmation that it's bad. And then me saying like, okay, well, I need to go public with this, and I need to look into the other stream houses. So I reached out to the heads of all of them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wonder how much like Feldman knows about that conversation that you guys had, because that seems to be where you got the information about the security.
Well, I initially got the information from multiple people who had done commentary there. Then I corroborated it speaking to Raver, and then I followed up and double confirmed talking to Nick.
Yeah, see, like he just made it so dismissive, like as if you just talked to one random person and they just had this agenda to lie to you because, why wouldn't they?
Right. Yeah, right.
Like, I think it was a little more deeper than that. And like, he just the way he just.
The only stream house that is true of is Doug's.
Yeah.
At the lodge. I only talked to Doug and I asked him the same questions I asked Nick. I just basically said, like, can you tell me about your booth, who has access to the control room, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And it was, as I reported, the only thing he wouldn't tell me was like who has access. And, that's up to him. And he also said that like they're making a bunch of changes. So it's like, I trust, Doug's a good actor in the space. I trust that until there's a reason not to. But also, there was an implication of like, look, we don't have it correct right now and we're working to get it better. But I was also of the impression that they're operating in a safer way than Hustler currently is, right? They don't have cameramen, so there's no communication going outside the booth. They sequester everybody. He made it seem like, or actually he told me exactly the number of people that had access. I think it was either 3 or 4.
Yeah. Essentially, it's like all the other stream houses, they all lied to you to make their security look better, but Hustler told you the exact truth.
Right.
So
weird.
I thought Ryan came off really well. I fell for him a lot because I think, he's a guy that's on his journey in production. He wasn't like trained in this professionally or anything. He just learned on the fly. And to be honest, like production this day and age is very new. There is no training. There is no comprehensive course that you can take to know what you're doing inside of poker and all the security measures. So I felt for him. I really saw that it seems like he's trying to fix a lot of the stuff. I think that, it's not fully trustless, and I'm okay with that personally. But I also recognize that it's unscalable. Like, if they want to ever go 7 days a week, is he just never going to take a day off?
Yeah.
If he ever gets sick?
I'll take it even a step further from that. There isn't any oversight, and that to me is a problem, right? At the end of the day, he's the end-all be-all, and we have to put 100% implicit trust in him. I find that to be very off-putting. So, Doug's... Sorry, let me finish my thought, and then you can chime in. But like, if we're talking about the lodge, Doug does not run their production. He oversees everything. So he's the oversight, right? But he has no firsthand capabilities to do anything. He hired somebody for that. Same thing at the bike. Houston oversees it, but Brian is the one who's actually the EP doing all the production. Same thing at PokerGo. Maury oversees it, but they have a full team doing. So there's a checks and balance. There's a separation there. At Hustler, it's literally Ryan does everything. He wears all the hats. And I know what it's like to run a startup and have to wear all the hats. But to me, it's like it's gotten to a point where they're a bit over their skis, where they've become so successful so fast that they haven't caught up in a lot of these areas. And now that the spotlight's kind of being shined there, rather than pausing for a beat and getting shit perfectly buttoned up, they're kind of just asking for grace and saying, like, let's ignore the fact that, we're vulnerable in all these areas, and let's ignore the fact that there's this really weird thing that happened and a potential scandal going on, and just trust us that sometime down the line, everything's going to be on the up and up.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we aren't mad about the Robbie thing. We're more mad about the Brian thing, right? That his security of his stream is compromised. We know that for certain. And someone with whole card access can do something malicious. There are ways of securing Ryan in particular, where we could just put a security camera up on him, facing him the whole time, seeing what he's doing the whole time. And if anything ever goes bad, we can look back at Ryan. The problem is, of course, I was a little bit, I couldn't follow the whole team viewer discussion that he was talking about, but it doesn't feel great that there's remote access to any of those back rooms.
Specifically the computer that houses the server.
Correct. That's the big one. And when we say server, just for everybody at home, we mean there's a server computer that has all the whole cards on it. So whenever you hear server, just think whole card access.
Just to be clear, Ryan said he never had TeamViewer. He never had TeamViewer at all. That was Brian that had TeamViewer.
Yeah.
Brian had TeamViewer.
But if you have TeamViewer up on the computer, anybody can access it.
Why did Brian have TeamViewer?
Well, because back then they weren't, they were just kind of...
He's talking about at the bike.
Oh,
right.
Okay, not
So Brian, if something
went
went wrong, he would just log in from his house and try to fix
I
it,
see.
whatever, when he on his day off or whatever. It wasn't anything malicious. That's how it was back then.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if that's been changed. It's certainly something to follow up on. But that would be something that I would add to the list of things that I think all houses should look into, is to ensure that there's no third-party remote software on the device that actually houses the whole cards. That just seems obvious.
But yeah, I think it looks like Ryan wants to do better. Look, like, were there problems ish here and there, but for the most part, I just felt like he was a guy that wanted to make a better stream and wants to be more secure and recognizes that there are security vulnerabilities there, and hopefully they get corrected. And yeah, I think we can have a check and balance on him in particular. Is everything going to be 100% comprehensive if we still need to trust someone? Definitely not, right? If there's a computer that's always showing hole cards, we still have a major point of attack, which is finding ways at monitoring that computer, whether that's a lipstick cam that gets put in by a third party and it's just pointing at that direction of the monitor, or the monitor itself, or I'm sorry, the computer itself, or if it's Ryan that gets compromised or someone else that takes over that position that gets compromised, we just never know. But I think his steps thus far, they're much better than what they were.
I think when you start talking to scale specifically, I don't know what the back end of their business looks like or how viable this is, but it seems like now, more so than ever, would be the right time to for Ryan to step back, just be the game runner, the guy who builds these games, and train somebody to do his job for him, right? Like, get it to a point where now, if you're training somebody up to do your job, you can make that system trustless. Like, we know that this update's coming with Poker GFX, where you can opt in and have it such that the cards are not read until after the hand ends. And if Andrew follows through, there's going to be an open source API where everybody can check and see if that stream that you're playing on opts in or not. And I think that's really important. Like, we should be more concerned about the ones that opt out. Like, there's just, it's like, why? Like, what's the benefit? Because the upside of the production side of things is negligible. Like, it's nice to know the cards when you're directing the cameraman, but it's not necessary.
I think he was really pushing that the only person that he can trust is himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why that will never happen.
Well, that's a really bad argument, because if the only person you can trust is yourself, then that's true of everybody else. The only person I can trust is myself, and on down the line, which means I can't trust you.
That is what he's saying. And therefore, he won't let anybody else have access to the whole cards except himself. Because he knows he can trust himself. So that's why I think that solution he'll never go for. But I mean, the real thing that is the fight, which me and you have talked about, is can you produce a show without seeing hole cards? And I think overwhelmingly, yes. You just have to try. It's a little bit different, but you do have to try. And people, when they tank, and they're about to tank, you know how to adjust for it. I don't think it's super important to know the cards to be able to adjust the cameras.
Yeah.
I think thinking about it in terms of its current state, I do respect it though. When he's like, "Look, these are my players. This is my show. I could trust myself. If they trust me, everything falls on me. I'm gonna be here 5 days a week, and we're gonna push through this crisis on my back. And if things change later, where maybe he wants to add more people, like, that's a later discussion. But like, for now, like, it seems like their solution is like, I am the one and only point of failure."
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game to force trust in a scenario where the solution is to be trustless. And that's true of like pretty much anything. Like, not that this is relatable to government, but we have checks and balances for a reason. And granted, you can make an argument that they've kind of crashed and burned over the last half century, but the thought behind it was purposeful.
Can we put a rumor to bed? Are you invested in Manit's company? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you. I keep seeing this everywhere. Berkey has a piece in the security company, and
it's not even a security company. It's an RFID company.
So it looks like. Sorry, guys. Ryan did respond in chat. He said, "It's not necessarily that I don't think we can produce it well without cards. is that we don't use OBS. We have a completely different setup that isn't set up to work with delayed overlay. I'm honestly not sure what he's talking about. I'm not saying anything about OBS. It's specifically, I think what he's referring to is people sometimes use OBS to delay the stream overall.
Right.
And I'm not targeting that at all. There are delay systems that you can just use. And from what I understand, Andrew, his system will delay it and shove cards to the
correct.
Yeah, shove cards to the delayed side.
It'll delay on the server side.
Yes.
So what ends up happening is, if I understand this correctly, and you and I should probably just like do a test video of this so we can prove it.
Sure.
But what I'm pretty certain happens is that Ryan, as the producer, would be doing live edits. So he would be cutting up all of the edits and then pushing that over to graphics thereafter, right?
That's exactly what my system does.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we did in Reno and did over here in Vegas, we have, just think of like the video and the audio all coming together, and it composites to a single feed. And then that feed sends over to graphics. Graphics is going to be in a sequestered room. That's where we're super monitored. We don't care about anything else but this room being completely airtight.
Well, it won't even matter because it's on a delay.
Yeah. I'm just explaining the setup overall.
Yeah.
That system is overlaying the graphics on top and then putting the delay as well. And then that feed then goes out to your encoder, which is you're dressing the broadcast. That goes with commentators and stuff like that, right? So it's almost like a 3-part system. Step 1, 2, and 3. Step 2 is the most important. With this new system that Andrew is making, step 2 is trustless. So you can just eliminate everybody in the delay room and in the graphics, and the graphics will just pop out trustless, and then you can then again start to produce whatever content you want on top of that. Whether that's graphics, you want to pause the stream that's going on, you want to add commentary, etc. That's where it could be very complicated.
Yeah, and that type of setup also gives you a lot of versatility, because now if there are things that you need to cut out of the stream, you have like with OBS, you can't do that because it's just out. You would crash the stream doing it. Right. This is a buffer where if you want to create replays, if you want to create, if you want to edit something out, you don't like what was being said, like whatever, all of that can be done within this portion.
And how I understand what Hustler is doing, the difference is, when he pushes everything, he's actually switching so the graphics go on top, and then he sees the graphics on top. So he's merging step 1 and 2 together.
Yeah, that's what Pigtails does for our academies.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we're saying that there needs to be a little bit of separation there. So the step 1 and 2, when we have, basically it's like, okay, all the camera feeds are going to run into the graphics machine, and the graphics machine just overlays it on top immediately, and then I'm watching the end of the graphics machine, and we're trying to scale it back one step and say, okay, just shove the feed into the system, the graphics system. Don't switch by looking at that graphics feed.
Right.
Sorry if it's confusing, guys.
Yeah, in lay terms, the camera shots that get pushed out to the audience, Ryan is doing that in real time with no information. He's doing it blind, basically. But he's just following the meta of the game and the actual game flow itself. So he's cutting based off where the action is currently, based on who's thinking, who's not, whatever. So he creates the dramatic effects off of just following the action, and you don't need whole cards for that. After that's all cut up, it's then pushed out to the graphics where they're laid over top. So just think of it as an overlay of any sort, right? Whether you're talking about creating a thumbnail or creating a video, you're putting this cartoon over top of it, essentially, that gives you the information.
Well, knowing that you're out there, Ryan, I just want to apologize to you for my tweet earlier. And if you're out there, go fuck yourself.
Okay, so we're back on that. Okay, yeah, Hustler, it's Ryan. He said, I think I have an idea how it could work. We'll definitely consider it. That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think that the investigation, I think he alluded to the fact that the investigation's over yesterday on Joey's stream. So if that wasn't an official announcement, I would expect one soon. It seems like nothing came of it. I would love to hear follow-up on, well, I don't even know what we could have followed up. If the investigation proved nothing, then I don't know that there is any follow-up with Brian and Robbie. I just don't know what more can be said there. That's to me like the only thread left to pull as far as like to explain away the Jack 4 and to be concerned that there might be an inside man type of thing. But again, we'll probably just never know. I think for all parties involved, that's probably fine with the exception of maybe just Garrett. I was going to say Garrett and Robbie, but I think Robbie is on the right side of things right now as far as like public perception goes, which obviously puts Garrett on the wrong side of things. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles the kind of no answers and what happens next for Garrett, right? Like, do we see him on these streams again?
I don't think he's going to play for a while, man.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play for a little bit. But this is not surprising in terms of Garrett. Like, he's gone on spells of extended breaks. And maybe he deems this one to be one of them. But I've seen him go on like 3 to 6 month spells of no poker for a long time.
This one's a bit different, though. It's
this one's actually caused by something. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll see him soon-ish. Maybe... I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, but like I'm assuming like we're not going to see him until next year.
Well, the good news is we have an up-and-coming star in Caitlin who can immedially take over for Garrett's role.
Yeah, I'll take over his money too if he wants to stake me.
Well,
no, you know what's funny is
I
actually
heard Rip is looking for a new stake horse.
Oh my God, honey, I look good in a cowboy hat too.
We'll be your horses.
No, it was kind of
I tuned in and watched you yesterday.
Thank you. I lost so much money. It was my biggest loss ever. It's fun to hit first in life.
Congrats. That's a good feeling. How was your experience playing?
It was lovely. Someone at the 2-5 game I was playing at the Win was like, do you think there was cheating? And I kind of joked around. I was like, yeah, I hope so. Maybe I'll get my 20 grand back.
Sure.
But no, obviously by me going there, that's sort of my admission that I don't necessarily think that there's anything nefarious going on and that I trust DGAF and Ryan. I haven't met Nick in person, but I've dealt with both Ryan and DGAF, and honestly, DGAF especially, I think it's just been so honorable to me. There was like a personal situation that he didn't have to have my back on, and he absolutely did. I won't speak to that on this podcast, but I just, for whatever reason, he's earned my personal loyalty and friendship. I have a good time whenever I go there. Everyone always treats me with the utmost respect. They wanded us. From what I understand, they don't see the live hole cards anymore. I know Lodge is making that step as soon as possible. I don't know if they're even able to do that, but all the stream houses that I deal with regularly have expressed interest, and if that's not already the case, that they're moving in that direction. So that's, that most of my income is coming from stream games currently. So it's very much, I'm vested in needing these streams to be secured. So thank you on behalf of the streaming player community for being such a little turd about it and getting in everyone's butt cheeks. I really appreciate you, because we need to have secure streams, and it's really hard to go on these streams. I couldn't follow most of that conversation between you and Andre. I'm not a computer scientist. I don't understand these I don't know what the OBS, what is that? Bowel disease? I don't know.
The funny thing is, though, you edit. So I think like if you played with the software for 5 minutes, it would become insanely intuitive to you.
Maybe. I say it more just to illustrate that I think a lot of the general populace isn't going to understand the software ever, and that they have to find the figures and personalities in the discussion that they trust.
Yeah.
And I don't pretend to know the truth. I haven't been involved in investigation. Nobody calls me at 3 a.m. with like the inside scoop of whatever like the latest drama is.
I'll call you.
Bitch, you better. So I have to, go off my personal experience, and that I trust the hustler and I trust what's going on there. I honestly like the fact that Robbie's been so kind to me, like lambasting her as is, fun and silly and gorgeous and off the wall as she is, that she can take a joke about herself. That makes me think like
she has I've been very impressed by how well she's taken like all the jokes being thrown her way.
Yeah,
it's actually super impressive.
It honestly makes me like she's taking the jokes better than anybody else that I'm impersonating, probably. Honestly. So that, personally makes me want to think nothing's going on there. And I just, it's just so preposterous. Why would you choose that hand if you were cheating? And like, how deep does it go? And you fall down the rabbit hole. I don't envy y'all that are, going through the filing cabinet and reading every last piece of data, but I'm certainly grateful that you're doing the work.
I think that it's been a spectacle, obviously, and that's just always going to be the nature of imperfect information, but more importantly, like, I don't want to say hidden because that implies that it's on purpose, but like, it's kind of hidden information, right? At some point, we're going to get to a system where the data necessary to comb through this in a matter of hours rather than weeks will just be at everybody's fingertips, right? Like, we have perfect information. We see all the cards. We see the showdown. We see everything. We just have no way of compiling it because there's nothing storing it.
Well,
currently.
isn't that what the new system that they have at TCH Austin?
Yes.
And I mean, when they first introduced that, there were a few of the regs in town, myself included, that was like, wait a second, you're collecting all my data.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, we barely get through 80 hands in a 4-hour stream.
Right.
God bless us. It's new technology. But, you do that stream once a week for a few years and they got, several thousand hands. And I don't know how big a sample that is. I know they say you need a much bigger one, but there were definitely a couple of players that were like, why are you collecting my data? Is it for sale ever? Like,
that was my question, actually, because when you were talking about that, I just couldn't help but think that there's going to be people who want that data, and there's going to be prices that are offered, and who's to say, like, why do those people get to be the gatekeeper of everybody's live stream data?
You solve one problem just to
right.
to create another one.
I couldn't stop thinking about that when you were explaining it. Yes, it sounds so great and all the positives, but like, that exists.
Well, you only create a problem if Monet's company isn't above board or transparent with what they're doing.
That's what WhatsApp said.
We don't
and then
know.
they sold to Facebook.
We don't know them. So what gives them like the gatekeeper status to everybody's data?
No, it's nothing like that. They're a business. You would have to, like, it's a TOC, right? Like, when you're purchasing their software in exchange for giving them data, you should be signing a contract with them that says you will not sell my data to a third party. You will house it in a secure server.
I mean, that's what all these companies say, and there's always fine print to get around that. So I'm just,
like WhatsApp.
Data gets sold a lot. It's very valuable these days, and I just wonder, if the right price came along, if that weren't going to be jeopardized.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's possible, but to Caitlin's point, Garrett would be the one who would be most concerned with this. With, let's call it, if we could go back and scrape all the hands, 7 years of live stream data where he's playing maybe 50 sessions a year, or on average 5 hours each. So that's 250 hours a year for 7 years. We're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 hours playing 20 hands an hour, right? So it's 40,000 hands. That's barely a sample. And that's the guy who's played but it's
you
over.
Start getting some stuff on.
But you
40.
can't, because it's over 7 years. Garrett 7 years ago versus Garrett now, those hands don't look the same.
That's fair.
Right? So like, you'll never see the actual maturation process of him playing for that,
and that's the max.
Correct.
That's the max.
Right. It's a 40K sample, but each year it's only going to be, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5,000, 8,000 hands. And each year his strategy is going to evolve more and more and more. So, and also the player pool around him is going to change a ton. How he plays versus Nick Vertucci 2016 versus how he plays against Lucky in 2022 is not going to be interchangeable.
He plays against the Tortoise in 2025.
That's right. The Tortoise is saving up that brisket money to get into a 1-2 stream.
I think a way to combat the problem is to have some sort of like public ledger. I don't want to say crypto necessarily, but imagine
blockchain makes sense.
Imagine some way where all the data is hosted on the cloud, and you will also have everybody has access to know whether or not data has been checked on specific players or not.
Yeah.
And if something has, and there's no scandal around it, that should be a huge red flag.
Yeah. They are planning to do that with. I talked to Andrew and Monet both about this. They're planning to, or there were talks, at least from one of them, maybe from both of them, of creating some sort of open source. I think it was number one to check to see if houses are using the trustless system, but then number two to maybe it was something like that where Andrew was talking about housing data in such a way where you could see, like with full transparency, what it was being utilized for, or like it's non-downloadable, but you can peruse it type of thing. I think, we see this already with solvers. I'm not sure if, I hate to name names because I'm not positive which ones use these security measures, but I know a common security measure that's thrown around for solvers such as GTO Wizard and the like is creating a database that allows anybody to go and look and see if a hand was run with a board texture and position at the same time as a hand history was played, right? So say you and I play a hand together at noon, and it's an Ace King 3 rainbow board, and I go and look, and GTO Wizard was used at noon to run an Ace King 3 board. We can now look at that user and say, like, was he in my game? If yes, RTA.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, but then like it would have to be so accurate that like it doesn't even count. Like if someone were to look it up right after or something. Right.
I mean, yeah, time is very linear and very measurable. So all these things get automated in a very precise fashion. That's solvable in my opinion, I think. But I understand the concern that you have with the data, like it being sold to third party type stuff. I don't understand the people who, maybe I do understand, but they just misunderstand the people that are saying like, I don't want this data to be collected because it ruins live poker. And now everybody's going to know how I play type of stuff.
No, I don't think that, but I do think that it's just, it's really like valuable information if you have a lot of hands on someone that you play a lot or something, and you can buy that somehow.
No, yeah, that I agree with.
Yeah.
Caitlin, with what I'm saying, was that something that was like more of a concern when you said like some of the regs were saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like my buddy Bones and my buddy Slicer, we both had conversations back and forth about like what this is mean.
Bones and Slicer.
At the end, yeah, we got some names. Shout out
to Bones.
my
He's
boys.
from Pittsburgh.
I mean, it does make some sense. Like if I play with you 2 to 3 times a week, on these streams, and then all of a sudden by the end of the year, I'm like, you know what? I would like some Berkey hand histories.
No, but that's the thing. If you're playing with me, you will get. It's just like running PT4 or Hold'em Manager. You will get all of the information that the stream demonstrates. So every hand that I go to Showdown with, you'll actually get as a player in that game. What you won't be able to do is data scrape. So I think people believe that because the table is collecting data, that they could just data scrape somebody in their pool. And that's not true. You actually have to be in the game. The same way that you would if you were playing on ACR Blitz against oppositions. The only way to compile a database for your HUD is to actually play against them, right? And gather the data of like what they do.
But it's every hand that you're dealt in, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of a conversation that gets delayed though, right? Because of, we're right at the start of it. There's no sample yet. There are no sizes. Like I've probably done 100 streams. Maybe they have 2,000 hands on me.
Yeah.
If they were to like get it all together.
It's like not enough.
Yeah. The concerns are very valid in the sense that we need to have the foresight to ensure that the data is not weaponized. Because that part I wholeheartedly agree with.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't be able to, having only played with Garrett 5 or 6 times a year, just be able to go out and purchase a database of 50,000 hands of Garrett, because that's what's ruined online in a big way.
It could happen.
It could theoretically, yes.
Start gathering mass data.
Well, right, but when you say it that way, you make it seem
the same way of online. Like you start gathering data. Like even though you can buy that data.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't like play against them.
It's a cheat code I'm not a fan of. I wouldn't want my opponents to be like, if I were one of the top echelon players, I definitely don't think I'd want my opponents to be able to when they didn't do the work. Like it's like if you want to prepare to step in like the arena with me, then you watch my hours of streams and you figure out how I play. That's still an option.
Yeah,
but the fact that you can just like write a check or hand a guy $200 and all of a sudden you have all my data, like of course not.
It should be very clear that that's not what's happening. With online, I'm pretty sure that they have mass data scrapers. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason why these hands are being able to be compiled in the tens of millions is because they're being scraped from the actual sites. It's not like Stars is going out and selling these hands.
All I'm saying is that we're getting close. Like we're not that many degrees of separation now to what maybe something that we can't foresee right now happening, of getting just a bunch of someone's hands that plays on stream all the time.
Well, we can do things to prevent that. We're not that far. We did this for Possel. It failed a little bit because it was more of a challenge than the part-time people working on it, but we created a screen scraper that went through every single session that he played, and we were able to get the information on the hands to probably like 90% accuracy. And that was just our first iteration at it, right? So it's not like it's not like collecting the data locally at the table is the preventative measure. If somebody wanted to, they could just go get 10,000 hours of Garrett Adelstein footage, run it on a computer in the background, have a screen scraper coming or playing as well, and just pulling all of that data into a database.
Feldman says that he left live at the bike in April 2019. You thought that he was there much later. People didn't know he publicly had left, or people didn't know publicly that he had left April 15th, 2019. He was still on as a consultant during transition till August.
Wait, no, that can't be true. Ryan, you asked me to come after the Postle case and vouch for the security of Live at the Bike. I think your year's off. It couldn't, because Postle happened October of 2019. And we 100% had a conversation of me coming and vouching for the bike security.
He says, check your dates. 2020 was pandemic.
2020, like February or March, whatever.
March was when the shutdown happened.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a big gap between Postle and the pandemic. Right? I'm not wrong, right? Postle was 2019.
I thought Postle was 2020. I thought Postle was during the pandemic.
No.
Was that wrong about that?
100% wrong there.
Yeah.
It was October 2019 I mean,
was
whatever.
it?
Yeah.
Late September.
I was dating Marley at the time.
It was September 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like September 30th.
Late September, yep.
And we for sure had a conversation afterwards about me coming to the bike and checking the security.
Right, he says he left April 2019.
Okay, you see how that doesn't match?
April comes before.
Correct.
So he already left.
Yeah, and he's saying that he had a conversation after he said he left about going to Live at the Bike
to do their security.
He's already gone.
So I'm fabricating this whole conversation in my head.
I'm just saying that he's saying he left in April. Why am I? I'm just saying what he's saying. I'm saying he left in April and
right, and
Apostle was in.
And I'm saying
and
why
Berkey's
that's
saying
not possible.
that can't be right because after the Apostle scandal happened, that he
he asked him to come vouch for the security. And Berkey's like, "What do I get out of this?" And it was like there was no reason for him to go. I remember this.
Right? Yeah. This is 100% for sure true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten a new phone since then, so I don't have the text log.
Yeah. I mean,
it has to be after the Apostle thing. That's the only reason why he had asked you to come.
Right. Like I'm not saying he was an owner. Maybe he was just still involved. Yeah. But
he said he was on consulting till August.
Okay. Well, no, but that still doesn't align. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just doing them a favor. He was definitely still organizing games though, because the $1 Million Cash game was shortly thereafter, right? That was December of 2019, I believe.
I don't think this is a big deal because it's just
next April or this April.
Someone to just confuse it. This is a nothing burger.
Next April.
Get sued by saying
Nothing burger, extra pickles.
Apparently that's a trademarked phrase. So
I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like in terms of that's a very minor point, and like you guys have dates mixed up. Whoever it does, it doesn't really. Like the bigger point, I think, is that Ryan came off really well. Caitlin lost 20,000, and we move on.
That we know for certain.
That's a fact. Yeah.
And that no data scraping is currently happening anywhere. And that's it. We're good.
Those are the facts.
It's the facts, you know.
I don't know about the latter, but the other two for sure. All right, that's going to do it for us. We are, well, I hope not to be here tomorrow. 5 Diamonds starts today. I'm heading down there now. Tomorrow will be day 2. If I'm here, it means that we do an early show. One more big shout out to True Classic for supporting the Only Friends podcast. True Classic has the absolute best fitting t-shirts a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either way too tight in the middle or look way too big and boxy. It's time to go all in on True Classic. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deals they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off with the Only Friends code at trueclassic.com. When you look good, you feel good. that's going to do it for us. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate all the work you do, and I'm looking forward to some spinoff of this weird little thing that we got going on here. I'm going to go try to win $1 million. Christian's in the mix too, so there's a chance that neither of us will be here tomorrow. Fingers crossed for that.
I'm taking tomorrow off regardless.
Okay. Christian won't be here regardless. Anyway, I will be somewhere here in the vicinity. We'll see you guys then.
Peace.